You've also got several people in the book who weren't actually active ball players, but you've got a couple of umpires in there, one announcer that I like to talk about first, Lon Simmons, and also several managers who are Hall of Famers.
Right. You know, that's a great point, Kerry. One of the things that I wanted to bring out in the book was, as I had mentioned earlier, we wanted to protect the legacy of the 60s and the 70s from a personal standpoint. So I thought it was a great idea to take one American League umpire, which was Dave Phillips, and of course Doug Harvey, who's a legendary umpire in his own right. He was actually voted best umpire of the 20th century. So we have, yeah, exactly what Tito said. He's a Hall of Famer. So what we wanted to do, we have two perspectives from an umpire standpoint, and they're the closest to the players, so it's quite unique.
And then the announcers, we got Mr. Lon Simmons, he's a Hall of Fame, because he can see the game and tell you everything that happened. And also we got John Miller, the ESPN, and also he is a broadcaster from the Giants. He was elected to the Hall of Fame. So when we started this book, he or Doug Harvey, they were not elected to the Hall of Fame. By coincidence, we interviewed them and they granted, and now they become a Hall of Fame. So they really, we are happy that we anticipate the future.
What a great personality and what a voice, Lon Simmons.
Oh, yes.
I have to ask Tito this question. It's a little bit of an aside, but I saw a program the other day, and basically it was a scientist talking about how quickly you have to react as a hitter to these pitches that come in between 90 and really 100 miles an hour. How do you do it?
Well, at that time when we played so long ago, we didn't have the clock. So we never can tell how hard they're throwing. That was the good thing. So we adjust by saying how the guy is throwing. He's throwing very hard. When we emphasize in the word very hard or extra hard, now we know that we have really to pay attention. But you react. Yeah. You react, but now you know how hard it is. Now that I'm not in the game, every time I am in the batting practice, I see the ball coming. I react, I say, I know how hard it is to hit a baseball.
One inside question, are all hitters guess hitters?
Good hitters, they guess right. That's what happened. That's why they are so good, because they can guess right.
Ted Williams once said, I think he's the one who said it, is the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball.
Definitely it is.
Okay, back to the book, and please hold it up, Gary. Baseball Legends and Legacies. We're going to take a short break and wrap it up here on American Senior today with Gary Hall, author of the great new book, Baseball Legends and Legacies, and also Tito Fuentes, former star second baseman with the San Francisco Giants. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to American Senior TV. I'm Kerry Glusovich. Today we've been joined by Gary Hall, the author of the great new book, Baseball Legends and Legacies, and also Tito Fuentes, who's the former second base star with the San Francisco Giants and current analyst with the Giants as well. Tito actually came from the sugarcane fields of Cuba, and that is an amazing feat. As I say, he's also an analyst now for the San Francisco Giants. So we're going to talk more about Gary's book, basically some of the umpires that have actually made it into the Hall of Fame, and also some of the great managers who have made their entrance into the Hall of Fame. First, let's talk for a few minutes about Sparky Anderson.
Well, Sparky, as everyone knows, was the great manager of the Cincinnati Reds, the Big Red Machine back in the 70s. And he's a real character. He has some great stories in the book. And he was so congenial and hospitable and, preparing the stories for me to write for him in his chapter.
And another one who was quite a character and very intense, Dick Williams.
Oh boy, you hit it right on the head. Like Tito said, you talk about controversial. The one thing about Dick Williams, almost every time that he made a managerial stop on the major league circuit, he made a huge impact on that team. He took the Boston Red Sox, which were perennial losers in the 60s, and took them to the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals, and actually took the Cardinals to the 7th game, where the Cardinals won that 7th game.
Even though the umpires take a lot of flack, sometimes the announcers do as well. There's a couple of announcers you have covered in the book, and also a couple of the umpires. Why don't you mention them?
Well, a couple of the announcers we actually have 3 announcers. We have the great Jaime Hirin, who has been a longtime Los Angeles Dodger voice, Hispanic radio. He's an incredible human being, unbelievable as far as his congeniality. But he's the Vin Scully of Spanish radio.
Wow. Sure it is.
And also, then, we'd like to go to a couple of more ball players, which we haven't mentioned. And one of them, two of them actually, are two of the greatest pitchers that ever came down the pike. Juan Marichal and Vida Blue, who happens to be a very close friend of yours, Gary.
Well, you know, both Tito and I feel honored that they're both in the book, and I think because they both are friends of ours, of course. But you're right. Left-handed Vida Blue was overpowering. He made major league players look like AAA hitters at times. And when he first came up with the Oakland A's, he had a 100-mile-an-hour blazing fastball, amazing curveball, and he had the poise of a 10-year veteran on that mound.
Wasn't he also the last pitcher to win 30 games?
No, he was not. Denny McLain was the last to win 30 games. But what Vida Blue did do that is incredible, in his first year, he won the Cy Young, and he also won the Most Valuable Player Award.
And Rookie of the Year.
And the Rookie of the Year. Thank you,
Unbelievable.
Tito.
Now Juan Marichal, who had quite a rivalry going with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
He had quite a rivalry going with the National League. He was incredible. Juan Marichal was a pitcher that had 5 pitches in his arsenal with 4 different delivery slots. And he could be overpowering at times, but he was a finesse pitcher. But he had pinpoint accuracy. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize about Juan was that his strikeout per walk ratio was about 3.75.
And complete games too.
Oh yeah, tell him about that, Tito.
I got him out of the book.
Yeah.
If I tell it, then the people don't buy the book.
Okay. Tito, I have to ask you, and I know you have a lot of them, what is the highlight in your career that you're really most proud of, over and above the 933 fielding average, which was a record that took a long time to break?
To me, to put the uniform every day, that's the greatest feeling that you can have it. And you don't know that till you retire. When you retire and you go to the field, everything that you see, you say, I can do that. But it's just in your mind. Physically, you cannot do it. That's the only thing I did since I was 5 years old. And in the book, it shows some picture when I was 5 years old with the bat. That's all I want. And I went to school because my father told me, if you don't go to school, you don't play. So school was no my desire. I went to school because I was forced to play the game. And when I came to this country, that's the only thing I knew how to do and the only thing I want to do. And every day, going to the ballpark, I was the last one to go out too, because I say the time is not like a doctor. A doctor can be a doctor even before they die. They can be a doctor. But we just got 10 to 15 years to be what we are. And I enjoy every second of it. I enjoy playing against the Dodgers, of course, winning pennants, losing pennants, and all the people that you play, that you see during those years, the umpires. Now we are friends. Now we like each other, the fans, and so many things happen in that game that you got the memory forever.
Kerry, just to sum up the heart of the book for you, the Baseball Legends and Legacies, it really differentiates the 60s and the 70s from other eras. And what made that era so different was because of the huge influx of Hispanic players coming in from the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and all the other Latin countries. In addition, there was a huge influx of black players, and so therefore the highest caliber of baseball was during that period of time.
That's right.
One of the other things that I really believe in my heart that differentiated it was the quality of the people. It was absolutely incredible. I know firsthand because I was a bat boy for the Dodgers and the Giants, and those players took me in, and what I personally witnessed as they treated fans was so vastly different than what I see today. And that's what I greatly respect, and that's one of the things that I really wanted to highlight in this book.
Well, I'd like to thank Gary Hall for bringing us and talking about his great new book, Baseball Legends and Legacies. It's out now and available on Amazon.com. And also, Tito Fuentes, the great former second baseman with the San Francisco Giants and current analyst as well for the Giants. Thank you, gentlemen.
Very pleased.
Kerry, I want to personally thank you for presenting this opportunity. Tito and I feel that it's an honor, and we really are grateful.
Thanks so much, both of you. For American Senior TV, I'm Kerry Glusovich, and we'll see you next time.